Everybody make ready, we're ready. Terry Kicks, Kyle Charters join us for segment 2. Terry, the supervisor of basketball operations for Purdue women's basketball, and you got nothing going on. I thought you'd be golfing this afternoon. The sun's out, it's a little cold for that, but obviously in the middle of practice she makes it up there, and I know her role is operations, but it also has a lot to do with watching this basketball team progress and get ready for the NCAA tournament.
Yes, we're very excited coming off the Big Ten championship and practicing as we speak.
Is the atmosphere, attitude? I mean, you have that win, and I know that Coach Versup has the ability to get people's attention and get people back on down to earth, so to speak. But certainly has to be a real positive. The team would have to have a bounce in its step, you would think, here in this period of time, getting ready for the tournament. Yeah,
Al, I mean, it's funny, even our managers yesterday, just being in that atmosphere, said, boy, our players look really re-energized, and there's an extra energy, and it's obvious to anybody who's watching us practice right now. And you know, the ladies are really have gained a lot of confidence through the Big Ten championship, and I think that they're on a mission that they don't want it to end, especially for the 6 seniors.
Yeah, this group that's basically been together for a couple of years now has been through so much. Just how big of a payoff was it to get the championship? I mean, obviously you were with Trey Mingo through her sickness last year and through her injury this year and some other things, and it has to be you know, quite the finish to get the Big Ten tournament championship, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. You know, not only do we have the instance that we went through with Dre and all the emotion and all the hard work and, you know, the highs and lows, but yeah, you have 6 seniors, you know, and that class is leaving here with a ring.
Yeah.
And I believe it's because our senior class did accomplish the Big Ten championship and are receiving that ring. Every class that's come through here since Coach Versup and our staff have been here has received a ring, and we're real proud of that.
Yeah, and you should be. And yet, you know, you look at the thing that makes the tournament so special and yet it's the difficult thing of the tournament. You have 6 kids that they lose, and that's, or say maybe Dre will be back. Let's hope from a Purdue perspective. But you know, you lose and you're done. So there is a sense of immediacy and even a healthy amount of fear that you still have to bring it to the table every game as you play in this tournament.
Absolutely, and you know, I believe, and I think our coaching staff would say the same thing, that you know, ever since you know, we had to go on the road and play Michigan, we were in a do and die situation, and I think that really helped our team. I think we got into that mentality quicker than anybody else going into the Big Ten tournament. We had a lot on the line, and we've never looked back, and we approach every game like it's do or die.
And that's probably the way you want to handle it. So I mean, in that situation.
NCAA tournament now. You thinking 4 seed maybe better?
Well, you know, we believe we've guaranteed at least a 5 seed for sure. We believe it will be a 4, but a possibility of a 3 if a couple of things happen. So I think it would be safe to say a 4 seed right now. The unfortunate part about that, as we all know, is if you can get past your first 2 games at Mackey and and you're fortunate enough to get to the Sweet 16, you draw a #1 seed, and that's the unfortunate part of the 4 seed. But you know, at this point, it's just a number in front of you. You just got to keep playing.
You got to play everybody, and it doesn't matter from that standpoint. But it does, and yet we're also here to talk about the fact that the opportunity to play at home and another chance to play in front of your home fans. Plenty of tickets still available. And tell us a little bit about the arrangements. We know that the Boilermakers will be playing on next Saturday, either at 11 or 1:30 start, and if the Boilermakers win that game, we'll play on 7 o'clock on Monday. But tell us a little bit about the tickets arrangements and what fans can do if they want to attend.
Sure. Well, first I'd like to thank all the fans. When we were down in the Big Ten, playing for the Big Ten championship, the crowd was unbelievable, and it really, we really valued from that. So from the bottom of my heart and our team's heart, thank you, and we need you, and if you can get out and come support us at Mackey, it would be tremendous, and the team really appreciates it. Like you said, we're going to either play an 11 or the 1:30 game on Saturday, and you know, if you go to the Purdue website, which is www.purduesports.com, there's an outline of all the ticket packages that are available, and there's a family pack for 4 tickets for $40, and there's a special student package, 25 tickets or more for $5. So I think we're trying to do everything we can to make it affordable and get people out.
Yeah,
Well,
go ahead.
certainly down in Indianapolis, you guys had the advantage. I think it was probably 3-1 in that championship game, at least, you know, against Nebraska. A double overtime game, every little bit helps, right?
It was tremendous, and the crowd really willed us for that extra energy, and it was obvious. I mean, it really motivated our student athletes.
Yeah, and you have the chance. Well, you could still play. I suppose the brackets could play out that you could play Nebraska in the Elite 8 game, just so you could have the rubber match and maybe take them to 4.
Yeah, you guys are all tied up at 163 apiece after 105 minutes of game. Yeah.
Unbelievable and compelling, just the ability to get out of that game alive. But what did that tell you about your team? I mean, again, you know, it can be a little bit of a war of attrition in terms of just because it's a long season, and yes, you want to have it at the pinnacle of your year is to be at your best, but you got to keep your focus. But what did that tell you? You think about this Purdue basketball team, the fact that you could persevere, not only you know beat you know, Michigan State wasn't an easy game, Penn State certainly wasn't an easy game. Brittany had to make some big plays, but what did it tell you about your team just to be able to slog it out to the end?
Well, this group has a lot of resiliency, and when you were in the locker room with them on the last few games in our run, there was an aura with the senior leadership. There was that refuse to lose mentality, and I think our kids just wanted it just a little bit more than everybody else. And I think Dre had a lot to do with that. And Dre was amazing during our run, motivating our team and lifting us. And even though she wasn't on the court, she did it in a lot of other ways. And you know, when you have Brittany and Chelsea and Alex and Antoinette and Sam Woods, you get so many seniors that wanted it so bad. I think it gave us just that extra little incentive.
Yeah.
What's the latest with Dre? I know she's turned in her paperwork to the NCAA, and she doesn't exactly have a textbook 6th-year case, but you know, hopefully, at least from Purdue's perspective, they're thinking maybe emotionally she's got a pretty good argument for a 6th year, right?
Yeah, you know, we feel like we have a 50-50 chance. You know, if you understand the NCAA legislation, it's cut and dry. She played 21 out of 27 games, and that's the argument not to give her the extra year. However, she has a lot of unusual circumstances in her case with academics and the type of sickness that she did have. So we feel like we have a 50-50 chance, and you know, honestly, I just wish they could meet Dre and talk to Dre, because if you heard Dre's story, especially from Dre, I think it would be a no-brainer.
Yeah. Now, supervisor of operations, basketball operations, what is mostly, I mean, the good thing, I guess, at least from my perspective, you're playing at home, you don't have a lot, as many things to figure out, but you have a lot of things to get ready to keep this team moving forward. Talk about what's on your daily schedule. What do you focus on most this time of year?
Well, right now it's all about supporting the student athletes and the coaching staff. It's about the student athlete experience first and foremost. So right now we're worried about our practice schedule next week, feeding the kids very nutritionally during the week, hydrating them. That's the most important thing. And you know, planning down the road the NCAA experience, so organizing a pep rally and getting the band and cheerleaders at the hotel, making sure you know, we have enough tickets for the team and their families, and you know, those are the things that we really are keying on. But you know, there's so many things that go into the competition, everything from equipment to, you know, their academics.
Yeah.
I mean, they're trying to stay on top of academics and get ahead of academics. We're trying to look forward in case we are successful and we have to travel, that we get ahead of the game. So that's really where our focus is.
You got a lot of players who are taking those easy majors too, right?
Yeah, really, I'm glad it's not me. That's all I have to say.
All that Patsy stuff. Now, you obviously professionally have coached at a very high level and have coached kids in NCAA tournaments. I mean, from a perspective of getting them ready mentally, what's the most important thing to focus on? I mean, you want to, especially with this 2-week layoff, which has always been kind of has been part of this, or 13-day layoff, I should say. But still, what do you want this team, if from your perspective, to be fully ready to go? Where do they have to be mentally to do that?
Well, right now, it's the most important thing is to continue our confidence, reassure the team where we are, how we got here. It's getting in the gym and fine-tuning a few things, and it really comes down to executing the game plan. I think our coaches do an unbelievable job of outlining a game plan, and our goal is to make sure that the ladies understand the game plan and they execute it. But it's a lot about confidence right now, and motivating them and keeping them high energy. And I think those are things that we will focus on.
Yeah. It's nice when you have a leader who's playing with a lot of confidence these days, and Brittany Rayburn, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, she was, these last, really 6 to 8 games, it seems like she's sort of stepped up, and that Michigan State game and the first game of the Big Ten tournament was pretty unbelievable and so reminiscent of the game at Minnesota with the 3-pointers, right?
Well, absolutely, and I think when Brittany's hot like she is right now, it also provides a lot of other openings in our offense because they're worried about Brittany, and
Yeah.
you've seen that occur a lot for KK and Courtney, especially in the guard play.
Mm-hmm. And a question here from Boiler Brewer in Okemos, Michigan, just outside of Michigan State or territory, or right next to Michigan State. Did Purdue have to get any kind of special dispensation to allow Dre to dress for senior day? And is being in uniform considered the same as being on the active roster, which would have eliminated a redshirt possibility for her?
Great question. We actually had to file in writing the question to our compliance office and make sure we were abiding by all the rules and regulations that she could put the uniform on. As long as she didn't go out there and go into the actual game, we were okay.
Yeah.
And Dre actually had the idea. She was very emotional that it could possibly be her last chance out there, and she wanted to be in uniform, and that's why we did it.
Yeah, and a good choice from that standpoint. All right, so it'll be Purdue women's basketball. You will be sitting tight Monday night, 7 to 8. Last year everybody knew you were in the tournament, but I think you were still the last team picked.
Yeah.
And that was kind of a
last one
strange
unveiled,
Yes,
right?
Yeah, and I think that's always kind of a strange thing. Did they forget us?
Got the automatic bid though this year. So.
Yeah, so
Yes.
it's you're in,
We know.
and it'll be a time for celebration, but also a time for preparation. Certainly after that comes out of money. The best of luck to you guys, and we'll look forward to certainly Purdue fans that are interested. PurdueSports.com. If you're interested in tickets, they'll be available also at the door. Again, the Boilermakers playing a week from tomorrow in Mackey Arena in the first round of the NCAA tournament. So, Coach, thanks so much
Thanks,
for your time.
Alan,
We
so
enjoyed it very
much.
much, and we'll
Thanks,
look forward
Kyle.
to
Thank
best
you.
of luck to you guys in the tournament, and we'll look forward to watching it, hopefully for a good long run throughout March and into early April. Who knows? It's tournament time. You never know what can happen. All right, we're going to take a short break and have Kelly Kitchell join us. We might even try to convince Stacy to come on over and talk some football with us as well for the final segment of Gold and Black Live.
Just one night. One team victorious. The story behind the score. The rivalries. The big plays. From the sidelines to you. On the air, online. Are you ready for the frenzy? Friday Night Frenzy. High school football from where you live.
Check out the Purdue collection now at Follett's. Boiler up with Nike Fantastic T-shirts, League and Champion fashion colors. Simply fabulous, simply Follett's. Purdue pride everywhere on game day. Nike sideline, worn by the team, by the players, and by you. And make every day game day with tailgate toss. Follett's, Purdue pride, a Purdue tradition, 17 game day locations.
West Point Steakhouse is a family-owned restaurant known for premium quality steaks. Open for dinner Thursday through Saturday. Stop by for the Thursday night prime rib special or Friday and Saturday night specials like pasta and seafood. Be sure to come and enjoy all the food and fun at West Point Steakhouse.
You can now get a quote or buy car insurance 24 hours a day. Call me, State Farm Agent Trent Johnson, at 743-9595 and see how much money you can save today.
Going to the Purdue game? Stay at Hilton Garden Inn, West Lafayette at the Wabash Landing. Your family will love the well-appointed guest rooms, the pool, whirlpool, fitness center, the breakfast buffet, and the amazing Hilton Garden Inn staff. Located just 4 blocks from Purdue University, Hilton Garden Inn has long been the choice for Purdue fans. Call today for a reservation and make Hilton Garden Inn your #1 choice.
When you see it happen, report it. Send us your news stories, photos, and videos with our Report It feature. It's easy with WLFI.com and the WLFI smartphone app. With a few simple clicks, you can send videos and photos of breaking news coverage. See your submissions on air as part of our broadcast or online in the Report It gallery. WLFI.com. Always mobile, always connected.
The beauty of internet, whatever you want to call it. Kyle was in the three-point stance before going there. We just don't, until we can get who he's drinking that bottle from to sponsor us, it's going to be off to the side. So, Kelly Kitchell joins us for segment 3. Welcome to the show. You're here at your own peril, my friend. And we're here obviously to talk some spring football, and of course Kelly. His weekend job is an analyst for the Purdue Radio Network, a sideline reporter. But Kelly, we were just talking off air, and one of the first couple questions come to mind, in a position that's near and dear to your heart. Purdue has a lot of guys to replace that offensive line that will make for an interesting spring, at least in terms of starting that process of what direction you go. Now, I know obviously the Boilermakers have some help coming in too with this recruiting class, but tell us a little bit about what you see there.
Well, when I was over there, the good thing when I was over there is they looked big and they looked athletic. So, I mean, that's a good thing. The bad thing is they don't have much experience coming back. So you got Ricky Schmig inside, and he's a really, really good center. I think he's got a chance of playing at the next level. I think, talking to Coach Hope, he thinks he's one of the better centers we've had here in a long time. So you've got him back. He's a solid guy in the middle, which is one of the most important parts is to have that guy right in the middle. Yeah. And then, we got Trevor Foy, who's had some shoulder issues, and you hope that he can be healthy through the year. One of the guys that really popped out when I was watching practice that I feel like he just kind of sprung into an O-line body was Kevin Pamphile. Yeah. He looks like a big-time offensive lineman now, and he's thick, and his feet look great out there. Obviously, he moved from the defensive line. He has great feet, and talking with Coach Hope a little bit, he thinks he's going to be really, really special this year. So, those 3 guys, and then you've got some guys. Kugler coming, that he thinks will help him this year. Cody Davis, he thinks will help him this year. And then, you're hoping Peters Dry comes back and with his back, and they're holding him out of pretty. They said he could go, he's cleared to go, but I think they're going to hold him out this spring. And then, Coach Hope has kind of went away from his traditional O-line recruiting. And if I would have been coming out of high school this year, I wouldn't have been recruiting because I was a project guy. He's recruiting ready-made O-line guys this year, especially with 2 guys in that Jordan Roos and I can't remember his first name, but Sermon I think is the other one. And those 2 guys possibly could come in and help right away.
Yeah, and a very much of a rarity during the Joe Tiller era especially, and into Danny Hope of having guys. And it's really a rarity around the league, and there aren't that many true freshmen to get a chance to come into play.
I always love this time of year because when you ask coaches, they're always so positive. So the spin on the offensive line is, well, this is great because we can get the young guys out there and get them experience. Now, in reality, You'd rather have the 5 that are going to start in the fall
Well,
out
you'd
there in the
love
spring.
to. Yeah, I mean, you always love to have every position locked down. But this, I mean, what will be nice about the spring, and I love spring ball. It was always a lot of fun because it's just football. You don't have to worry about scouting reports. You don't have to worry about playing anybody else. You just go out there and you play football, and you have a good time, you know. And we get to run around in the spring and hit people, which in high school you don't get to do that very often. So I mean, you know, when you come into college, it's a good time. So, but you know, you would like to have, you know, at least like to have 5 guys who have some game experience, whether they've been starting or not. And I don't think we're going to have that this year. So it's a concern. I think the good thing is there's all kinds of experience everywhere else on the offense that will help out quite a bit.
Yeah, and you've had the experience as a player coming off a bowl victory, and and he had the experience of coming into the season after a loss too. But to talk about the difference between, from a player's perspective, the bump that you get from winning that last game of the year and feeling like your program is headed in the right direction, which is certainly what this team has to be feeling at this point.
Well, it's always good to see that W flag flying all winter, you know, when you're here on campus, and so that's always a good thing. But you know, either way, when you're coming off, you want to end the season on a high note, and that's great. But once spring ball, really once 6 a.m.s for us started, I don't think they do that much anymore. I think they said they had 2 6 a.m.s. It's just getting soft on them.
But doesn't seem right, does it?
No, I think we had 18 one year, 6 a.m. right in a row. It was awful. But once that gets started, you know, kind of last season's forgotten, and you're looking about what you have coming back this year. You said goodbye to the seniors, and you know they're all either getting ready for the pro day or moving on. You see them in the weight room every once in a while, but now you're with your guys that you're going to go to battle with next year, and so that's the main focus, is looking forward and trying to figure out where all the pieces are going to fall for next fall.
Yeah.
All right, hard question now.
Okay.
Who's going to be the starting quarterback?
It's funny. Brian was just asking me that on the side. I think it's going to be Marv. I think you're going to see Robert Marv. And what I think would be really cool, and I think what Coach Hope has been wanting to do, is have every play in the huddle you have Marv and Henry in the play every huddle, and you don't know where they're going to line up, because Henry could line up just about anywhere on the offense. And for a defensive coach, trying to because I coached defense down at Wabash College. I was down there for a year, and one of my jobs was to make sure when they, I had to tell them what formation, whether it was 2 backs, 2 tight ends, 1 back, 1 tight end. I had to tell them what was coming in, what personnel. I was the personnel guy, so who was coming in the game. And when you have those 2 guys, you're not quite sure exactly what personnel you're going to have. You may have, you may have Henry back there, and watching practice on Tuesday, it was Henry, it was Hunt, and it was Mostert all in the backfield. And those 3 guys can break it at any time. And I think that's unbelievable to have those 3 weapons. And then you've got the luxury of having Shavers, who is a dependable every down back as well. So you got four very athletic guys with Marv in there that basically could line up just about anywhere, and that gives them a lot of flexibility. It makes it really, really tough on a defensive coordinator.
Well, an offensive coordinator, Gary Nord, who is, and I think all Purdue football fans have wanted to be in a position to see this guy do it with a full arsenal. I think he's a little bit of a contrarian type guy, and has that. You were around to Jim Chaney that liked to do those kind of things when you had the personnel to do it. This might be finally his chance to just kind of not roll the dice strategically, be able to do the things that could cause some problems for opposing defenses.
Well, yeah, and I don't know if it's rolling the dice or just having your full arsenal. Having everything available for you, which we haven't had. I mean, you can look at it, and you hate to make excuses, but we haven't had the full array of tools that have been on the team yet. So I mean, having them in the fall camp and having them survive fall camp and getting into the season is going to be critical for this team and this offense especially.
One of my questions, I guess, when you look offensively is, there's several, but we've answered 2 of them, I suppose, or talked about them. Wide receiver, though, to me, seems like a little bit of a question mark, because especially if O.J. Ross doesn't come back, you've essentially got 2 guys out there who have some experience, and there's going to be some big opportunities for some young guys, it seems like, to come in and make a mark.
Yeah, and I think he's recruited some guys, and even I think some of these quarterbacks are going to have an opportunity to come over and maybe play some receiver. They probably won't start right away, but maybe he'll get into the games. But, you got Antavian Edison, who's going to be very solid for you. Yeah. And like I said, I think Mostert will be out there. I think Hunt. And you know what I really like is who really impressed me, and he has impressed me all the way through. But when you watch him compared to a lot of the other guys, was Crosby Wright.
Yeah.
I think Crosby looked outstanding in practice. I mean, granted, I only watched the first day. You know, I was there for the whole thing, but I thought he looked fast. His feet looked good. He caught the ball well. He did a really nice job. So I think, you know, there'll be some weapons. I don't know that we'll have that big game breaker. It's going to have to be Antavian Edison or Mostert or somebody like that who can, you know, be the big time game breaker, I think, or maybe have somebody step up.
Well, and Gary Bush certainly had some had some moments with that last year, obviously in the long reception on a short pass, but the ability to run away from somebody against Michigan and having the big game obviously against Western Michigan. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he chooses also to. You know, Mostert and Hunt are two of the guys that really intrigue me in terms of what we saw last year. And now it will be interesting to see if they can turn themselves into, are they going to be guys that are kind of gimmick type offensive guys, or can they be every down guys? And that's not being a critical of them. I'm just saying it's going to be interesting to see how they get used in this offense.
Well, they're sophomores, so you know, I mean, I don't think it's being critical when you're trying to figure out, you know, these young guys of what they're going to produce. So I did forget about Gary Bush. I can't believe I did that, but he really came on, especially towards the end of the year, just like you said, and he can be a deep ball threat as well, and he's fast. I mean, he's one of the faster guys on the team. So I think they'll be okay. It's just we don't have that. You don't have that solid core coming back that maybe we've had before.
And I'll throw this one to you, Kyle, and then come back to Kitch on this. But on Larry from Morton Grove, any idea who lines up a defensive end opposite Ryan Russell?
That's a good question. I think a very good question. I mean, I don't know if that's going to get decided until the fall, because I think you're going to have some guys and, you know, a couple freshmen, maybe Ryan Watson and Kingsley Ike, who, before all is said and done, play into that. But you do have Robert Macy coming back, who was a guy who does have some experience. Jelani Phillips got a very little bit of experience last year, but whoever it is, it seems like it's going to be somebody who hasn't played a whole lot, except for maybe Robert Macy, but he's mainly done it in a backup type role. But that's certainly a place where they're going to be looking for somebody.
And I think if my memory is right, between your junior and senior, you had a coaching change your last year was 02?
02, so yeah, Coach Chaney was the offensive line coach.
But you went from and obviously you knew Chaney, but leaving Danny Hope leaving at that point in time. But what about the defensive side of the ball and the fact that you have a whole new group? What challenges does that bring, and maybe what opportunities as well?
I think it brings some opportunities. Just the very limited time of watching practice and then talking with Coach Hope is that Gary Emanuel and the new defensive line coach, which his name is escaping me right now, are very different styles. I think the new D-line coach is a lot more energetic. He doesn't look like a defensive lineman, but when he's out there, but he's got a lot of energy. He's going to bring a lot of passion to it, which I think Coach Emanuel is more of a technical guy, and that was just kind of his demeanor and how he coached. So I think it'll be a good change, just because it's going to be, there's going to be a little bit of difference in coaching styles, and hopefully the guys will grab onto what they have now and continue to move forward. And I agree. I thought Robert Macy, I wasn't expecting him to be ready to go full go, and I thought he looked good out there running around.
Yeah. And that's going to be a big part of, obviously you got to stop folks. And I think that's some of the interesting thing. We had a question about how much 3-4 do you think Purdue will play this year on defense? I think when Tim Tibazar was here last week, if it was the last week, that talked about, I liked what he said in terms of being flexible. We may line up in a number of different ways, but I think the kids, it keeps the players also kind of on their toes of not exactly knowing what the format, but playing to your strength defensively, and maybe that will be that. If you talk about Russell and you talk about Short and you talk about Taylor inside, that's at least a pretty getting close to a pretty Big Ten tested, certainly with Taylor and certainly with Short, and Russell certainly what he did last year late in the year.
Yeah, those are three guys that are all Big Ten type of players. I mean, those are three outstanding defensive linemen. And if they do go to some 3-4, I mean, those you couldn't ask for a better three, you know, to have at Purdue. I think that, you know, those three would probably be as good as we've had in a long time. So as a collective group, so I think that, you know, trying to find that fourth defensive end is important, but you'll probably see a little bit of both. You may even see an end, you know, a guy like Jelani Phillips may be able to stand up too on the, you know, in a 4-3 or whatever we have. So I mean, I think you'll see a little bit different packages. I think you'll see him moving around some. I think you'll see a lot more pressure coming off, you know, coming from the defensive side. It'll be interesting to see exactly how Tibesar, you know, decides to attack some of these early matchups, and then when he gets in the Big Ten.
Yeah. And part of the fun of being in Kelly, living in the Lafayette area, and his day job with Junior Achievement, but part of the fun is community events and having Purdue football involved with that. Talk a little bit about your big event it's Sunday, April 29th,
Sunday.
And I got to get my training going here, but talk about the Tippy Mud Run and what's going on with that.
Yeah, we're on April 29th. We're gonna hope a lot of people come out to get their mud on, and that's what it's kind of all about. We have it's a mud run where it's a 3-mile run in the woods, but it's not your typical 5K that you normally go out and run on the pavement. You're jumping over cars, you're running, you're going through tires, you're sliding down hills. There's a waterfall on there. You know, you're running in and out of bridges, and then we got like a 9-foot wall. We got cargo nets, and we got all kinds of stuff. It's going to be a ton of fun. Now, if you want to get out there and run it, and you maybe can't do all of them, you can still go around most of the obstacles. We won't hold you back from. But you know, but we want people to come out there, and it's going to be more of a fun team building event. I think it's a lot of fun. You know, I know some people said, "Hey, the minis the very next week."
Some people, I said that.
I know. I was all worried.
I want you to guarantee me I don't get hurt going through a barrel or something.
I won't get you hurt going through a barrel.
Because he's planning on winning the mini.
I know.
You're going to win.
Yeah.
But we're gonna. I mean, I've ran the course. I don't know how many times now because we've been getting this thing ready and getting the course ready, and I'm still standing, and I've had back surgery and everything else. So I think that you'll be okay. So, but it's you know, it's going to support 4 great causes. It's Junior Achievement, who I happen to work for, the Lafayette Family YMCA, and then the National Football Foundation, which is the Joe Tiller chapter, and then also 12th Boiler Scholarship Fund, which is a football endowed scholarship fund as well. So we pulled in you know, a lot of 4 great local charities, and we're hoping for 1,000 runners out there on April 29th. We're going to have Advocares coming out with some of their products. We've got the 42nd Highland Bagpipers coming out. They're going to be, so when you come around the bend at the very end, you're going to hear drums and bagpipers, and then you jump into a big pit of mud. And then we got some guys that are bringing some fire trucks out. They're going to hose you off when we're done, and it's going to be, we'll have bands out there and food. You get a sandwich when you get a dog tag when you're done. I mean, we're going to give you a lot of stuff. We want to make it a lot of fun, just a good community event to bring a lot of people together and support some great causes.
Right. Well, it's going to be at Ross Hills, which is a little bit west of town. And again, that's Sunday, April 29th, $50 for adults, $45 for students for registration. We'll put something on our site as we get closer as well for those. Are you taking online registration?
It's all online. Yeah,
okay.
The registration will end the night before it's the April 28th at I don't know what time, but just get on the website and it's all on there. It's getyourmudon.com. We made it very easy. You can follow us on Twitter at getyourmudon, and you know, I'm the contact person on there. So if you have questions, email me. My email's on the website. Be happy to answer any questions. But we just want you to get your friends and family and come out and run and have a good time.
So are you going to do it the week before the mini?
I think I have a friend who's a bagpiper and going to be there, so that convinced me.
Yeah,
he's in that.
Are you? Oh, good. Is he
that
good?
Yeah.
Good. It's going to be fun. They're excited.
It's a neat and innovative idea, that's for sure. So, what else do you see? Last question about spring ball, and what else if you're Danny Hope and his staff? What do you think? What's the top thing that you need to have accomplished come spring game?
Well, I think reps, you know, especially at the quarterback position with Robert Marv, I think you got to rep him, let him see everything. I wrote an article, you know, for you guys last year just talking about how many practices he's missed, and it was like 2 years worth of practices basically that he's missed that he won't be able to get back. But if you can get him every rep so he sees everything and maybe not, you know, just trying to make decisions on the fly, not having seen it before, I think if you can get him to where he sees every defense he could possibly see, you can see a really special quarterback in the fall. And so I think getting him plenty of reps, getting that offensive line to gel together. But, I think there was, what did Coach Hope say, 15 or 20 guys that he plans on playing in the fall that aren't going to be participating in the spring. Right. So, I mean, it's hard to really gel and really come together, but it's just getting a ton of reps, getting people to where they're playing Big Ten football speed, getting these young guys like Latta and Carvajal, I think is his name, getting those guys up to, because those are two guys that could possibly help us in the fall, getting those guys up to Big Ten speed, because watching them, they're still a little slow coming off the ball, getting them going to where they need to play. So I think just that speed and reps is huge in the spring.
All right, well, we'll look forward to watching, and obviously throughout the rest of spring practice, Kyle, Stacy, Brian will be out there covering that as well. And we'll look forward to the spring game. Will be here before you know it. So it's hard to believe we're into March Madness, and this is a little different with having this a couple days off, or a couple days of practice and a week off and coming back. But this is the second year that Coach Danny Hope has done that.
He said it's like mini camp.
Yeah, and that's not a bad way to go. So it'll be interesting to see how how everything plays out. Well, thank you all for joining us. Now you can go back to the basketball now that you've stuck with us for the hour. I don't know how Indiana and Wisconsin, there's probably a 0-0 tie halfway through the first half. No, I'm just being facetious. I want to thank our sponsors, Hilton Garden Inn, State Farm agent Trent Johnson, and of course Follett's Purdue Bookstores and Purdue Pride and West Point Steakhouse, where we'd all like to be going to dinner tonight. Maybe we'll do that. But we'll look forward to our show will not be on next week in deference to some extent to the NCAA tournament, but then we'll be on 2 weeks. We'll be talking more spring football, have a couple more shows to wrap up the year, and then one last show in April I think we're going to do it after the spring game, maybe get Coach Danny Hope on to kind of wrap up spring practice and what went on in spring drill. So enjoy the rest of the weekend, enjoy all the basketball coming up, and we'll look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks on Gold and Black Live.